right?
Yeah, right. Uh-oh.
Okay. Here we go.
Brought to you by Crimson Cult Media.
We got you now.
No turning back. Welcome to Moths to the Flame. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, everybody, to our very first live Moths to the Flame. We have Mike Evans with us today, a fucking prolific writer. We're going to learn all of his secrets about how he churns that shit out like nobody's business. I'm super excited. Thanks for being with us today, Mike.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Trying to be more people-y this year. So
Yes, that's a good way
podcasts are good.
to and this is one of the best for sure because we don't take it seriously around here.
Yep,
Moss of the Flame.
sure.
We just talk about all the weird shit and ready to go. So a little introduction for
Thank God.
you. Mike is just like you. He's a regular guy that lives in the Midwest who happens to be obsessed with zombies and post-apocalyptic shit that we're going to hear about. He's married with two, most of the time, amazing kids and one very energetic rescue dog named Maggie. If he's not working on new tales of horror, then you can usually find him on a motorcycle hauling ass down the highway or working on a new recipe with his daughter. The stories he writes will make you think that he gets some kind of sick pleasure out of stringing us along page after page. And I mean, he does, but it's cheaper than therapy.
I do.
He has been releasing since 2014 and still has a lot of nightmares up his sleeve left to write. So I want to hear about those nightmares. What got you into writing in 2014? How did this all begin?
I released my first book, which was my first release was The Orphans in 2014. But before that, I had written a book called Buried, and it was kind of a mystery detective series, or not series, but a standalone. And I was kind of like, it was really good. I liked it. But I was watching The Walking Dead at the time, and just with every episode, I was getting more and more pissed off. I was like, how are these people not thriving in this zombie apocalypse where, 90% of the people died? I was like, it just pissed me off. I was like, these zombies, like, how do you not get away from these zombies?
Right.
Or
you've got a whole
go to
fucking
California,
prison. Like you've got a
steal
fortress.
a boat. You don't have to buy anything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you've got the world. You fucking go anywhere you want. Preferably probably somewhere that wasn't heavily populated prior.
Opportunities.
But they didn't do that. They go to Atlanta.
Right.
So, great choice. Anyway, so after it probably, I don't know, 6 months of watching it, the first season, I was like, I'm going to write a zombie book and I'm going to make it teenagers and I'm going to make the zombies just fucking horrifying. And everyone loves my zombies, but they love the characters more. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword where they're like the first 30 reviews on the book when it, 10 years ago, when I was excited to get any reviews, everyone just kept talking about the characters. I'm like, there's zombies in this damn book and they're scary. But everybody just kept saying how much how much character development and how you were worried about the kids dying. Or not kids or teenagers, but I always call my kids. So anyway, that's kind of what got me into it. Yep. And then once I got through book 1 of The Orphans, it was just kind of like a fireball and just kept. It hasn't really slowed down all that much. Some years are faster than others, and some years aren't.
So tell us what's your highest number of books that you've written within 1 year?
I think, I don't know about, okay, so I know that the most I've released in a year is 2016. I put out 8.
Whew.
It was just it's my process is kind of like most people get a little sick to their stomachs when they think about it. Cause it's I finish a book and then usually when I'm doing the read through, a book from the editor comes back and then I get that book out, and then as I'm finishing the book I'm working on and start doing my read through, I start writing a new book. So it's like
Oh my God.
a never-ending pendulum of torture to myself.
Yeah. So you
but I
always
enjoy
you're
it.
jumping from project to project. So how do you like
Yeah.
have a certain
Yeah.
amount of time where you're like, I'm writing the new book tonight, or I'm doing like how do you divide that up?
Probably unprofessionally. I don't know. I'm not very good at dividing the time. It's like if it needs done, I do it. So it's like if I have to put a book on hold that I'm writing, which I try not to do because then you kind of get out of the headspace, but
Mm.
I'll just put it on hold and then I'll do my read through, or if I get like beta notes back from one of my beta readers, I'll take the day off and read all the notes and make all the corrections that makes it look like I speak English firsthand. And then so that's thank God for editors is all. Elizabeth Robbins.
Oh,
Hi. She's my lady. I love her. Like 20 books together, I think.
awesome. Oh my God. Well, shout out to
So,
Elizabeth. That is fantastic.
yeah.
So are you,
Yeah. She's
I just
awesome.
am trying to wrap my head around 8 books in 1 year. So do you plot out your stories first?
I used to, and then it was probably like around book, let me look at my list. Around book 24, 25, I stopped, and it wasn't really an issue. Like
Well, you know how to write a
I started
book by
writing
that
one.
point.
I had you do. But like for the longest time I was a pantser, but what I always said was, write out your idea and then don't be afraid to be unfaithful to it. Like if if you're halfway through it and you get a great idea that takes you off of the storyline, but it's a good idea, do the idea. Like if you can't, figure it out, then maybe you're not a writer as much. Like it's like
Yeah,
just takes a little
don't
work.
stifle your own creativity.
It can be work sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no, I don't want to do that. It'd be too hard. It's like, no, put gas on the bicycle as you're riding it and then light it on fire.
Yes,
so don't make things easy.
And then throw it off a cliff and then climb down to the bottom of the cliff and try to put it back together. Yeah. That's I will do that.
Or throw
I'll go
it off
down
of a second cliff.
Yeah, like I'll go into some, super obscure rabbit hole because I write historical horror. And so I'm doing all this research and I'll find something in researching where I'm like, no, I have to. But then it's like, well, that's another 5 chapters right there. But that I like chasing the rabbit hole. Like that's fun. So definitely.
I think the period pieces are fun. Yeah. I like it when you can do different time frames. Like I like doing the 70s and 80s because there's no internet, there's no Facebook, and there's nothing about being nice. So like you could write however you want. And it's like, yep, that's pretty much how people were back then.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it's funny. People talk about how a lot of plots could be completely unraveled by a cell phone these days because it's like it was a communication issue, and now we're like, oh, we can just Google it, like And so that
like the current one I'm working on. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say your post-apocalyptic jam with, if the grid goes down and cell phones are out and like we'd be fucked because we rely so heavily on technology to live our lives now. So
yeah. That and that's what makes it so much fun doing it like in the 80s. Is just like, especially if like you take away, like I had one where like they pretty much didn't have any weapons. It was like it's called Zombies and Chainsaws. Guess what they used? Chainsaws.
Surprise.
And that was because they were like guys that cut down trees for a living and they did a job out of town, and it was like they're hours from home. It's like there's maybe one shotgun between 12 guys, but we've got axes, we've got spades, we got all kinds of things that you can decapitate and hurt people.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have to ask you, are your zombies, you said your zombies are cool and that people really like them. So I want to hear how they're different from, our typical what we know of zombies. Whether they're the fast kind, are they the slow kind? Are they where are we at with yours? What are yours like?
It depends on the book. Like the ones in the orphans are probably the scariest freaking zombies ever. They're fast. I always describe it that they can run as fast as you or your car. They can pull your arm or door off. Like you'll be walking outside and like be like, it's not raining, and it's like you look up and there's like 50 zombies on a rooftop drooling on you like jumping down and ripping you apart, like just awesome stuff like that. I know, like, or like pretend like you're in a barn. Guess what? It's dark and there's rafters and there's zombies hanging out, and they kind of hunt like wolves. Like it's a pack mentality. Yeah, really scary owls that eat you.
I love that.
And then like zombies on the block are like human speed, just normal, but they don't ever get tired because they're zombies, you know. And then what else do I got? Vacation from Hell are alien zombies, kind of starts off like with how do you say it? Like they're at a Confederate army, if I could think of the word, Jesus, like a reenactment site, right?
Okay.
So
yeah.
So like lightning starts hitting. Well, it's not really lightning. It's like a zombie virus from aliens who want to take over the world.
Awesome.
And then, so basically, like you have all these old Confederate soldier zombies coming up out of the ground, and then they start just like, like you're like, oh, they're going to be slow, and then like they jump 20 foot in a distance and knock you out, and
you're like, what the fuck is happening
or turn
here?
you into a zombie. Yeah. Well, and then it's like, oh, these are horrible, and then the humans start getting bit, and the humans tear their skin off when they get bit. It's like, so it's like these bloody clumps of skulls walking around. It's family stuff,
I love for sure.
So,
like my 6-year-old he needs it for sure. No, my child, we try to shield him from some of that still, and he'll go, Mommy, why do your books look like that? That's not nice. And I'm like, or I'll wear like bloody looking jewelry, and I'm like, it's tomato sauce, like it's ketchup, it's not, he judges me hardcore for that. So it sounds like right up his alley for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you prefer?
Yeah. I think
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that when my son was like in first grade and they were talking about like writing and books and stuff in class, he mentioned that I was a writer, and like I only had 4 or 5 out at the time, and the teacher asked if he could bring in some of the books, and I was like, that's awesome. And my wife was like, show her the covers first. Because like the original Orphans covers was like a bleeding eyeball with a biohazard symbol in it before I rebranded everything. Here, I gotta take my headphone thing out. I'm hoping I don't lose you. Okay. So my batteries aren't working.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. It's totally okay. I get it. I'm like off kilter right now with the new system. My mic and my whole soundboard isn't able to come in.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I don't see a mic. Can you hear me? I can't hear you anymore. Let's see. I can't unmute you. Okay, it says we have a chat. There's a private chat over on the right. Oh, I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Welcome back.
Okay, sorry. Yes. I tried giving these earbuds plugged in. And then, of course, they're like, low battery. I'm like, of course it's low battery. The one time I need it.
Yeah, that's how it goes, for sure. That's okay. Hey, viva la technology. We're good.
All right,
so,
we're good.
All right, my next question is, as far as the debate about fast zombies versus slow zombies, where do you lie in that debate? Are you flowing down the middle? You don't give a fuck, or like, which one do you prefer?
Oh, if I'm watching a movie, I want fast, scary zombies, and if it's a real life thing, I want slow ass zombies that don't run fast.
Right.
I am
They're actually
athletic.
coming for us. No.
Yeah, like if they're chasing me, I am screwed.
Dead.
My daughter would be fine. She's cross country. She could run like 5 miles, but I'm gonna be dead behind her 4 miles away.
So you're the one when they say make sure you're with somebody that's slower than you. Your daughter's like, I got my dad. We're good. We'll just sacrifice him to the zombies.
She's good. Yeah,
That's
she knows.
perfect. I say the same
So
thing about if the end came and it was the zombie apocalypse, like catch me with the zombies because I'm not trying to get away. Like I'm not gonna live. There's no like I'm gonna be in the first
mm,
wave. There's no doubt.
yeah,
No doubt.
I'm gonna hold up at the house as long as I can, but
So
I'm
are
probably
you
screwed.
yeah, I'm in Tennessee, and so we've got the mountains and some backwoods business over here. I would go up to my grandma's house and be with the well water and the fire stove, and if the world ended, that's where you're gonna
Sure.
find me. So are you from like a rural area or are you from a city? Where are you from?
So I'm in Ankeny. There's probably 70,000 people here. I always joke that my parents used to have a lake house about 2 hours from here, and I was always like, that is my go-to place. And then when they sold it, my kid was like, so what's the go-to place? I was like, oh, we're still going there. It's just they might not like the
Oh yeah.
company they get when we get there. Like,
You're like, wait, this is our
we're gonna do
territory now.
the yeah, we're gonna do the Daryl Dixon claimed, and
Yes,
you know,
yes.
sorry,
That's
this is
so funny.
I know where everything's at there too, so it'd be perfect. So
I mean, every man for himself, right? I actually saw
yeah,
something, I don't know if it was a TikTok video but thinking about post-apocalyptic, like, end of the world, the shit hits the fan, and someone was
yeah,
saying that like, there's no way that we can comprehend what it would actually be like, but the
sure,
closest that we've come is after Katrina and the hurricane,
yeah,
Hurricane Katrina and kind of the lawless land of New Orleans for a while.
sure.
And I would like to get your perspective on that. What do you think it would be like that, or do you think it would just be 90% of the population gone, everybody else would like waste away?
I think it'd be a large population. Like I think people would try to hold up for a little bit, but I don't think it would go well. And as soon as people realize that they can't necessarily rely on others to take care of them, it's probably already too little too late if you're in that mind. If you're in the mindset that we'll all be friends, like you're going to be one of the zombies
Yeah.
or a meal,
Yeah.
one of the two,
You'll make
you
new
know.
friends, the undead
So
kind. Yeah.
I mean, I would round up my buddies, and so we have at least a little posse or chance to survive, preferably.
All right,
Uh,
Negan, like just have your little
but
crew behind you.
it's just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think people would be as nice as we all hope that they would be.
No,
So it's
I
kind of
don't
hard to
expect
say.
for 2 seconds that anybody would be nice. Like, it would be every man or woman for themselves and fuck everybody else. Like,
Yeah,
it's about survival right
yeah.
now. Yeah,
I mean,
no. Me and my husband
yeah,
and my kid, that
no,
would be it. Like,
yeah. Take care of my family. That's
yeah.
which I mean,
All my
that's
friends
actually what
listening to
Zombies on the
this.
Block is. Oh
Oh,
yeah,
so
yeah.
like
Oh, sorry,
those
friends, you got
those kind of
screwed.
books fuck me up. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, everyone.
Oh,
Like,
it would really
hate it
screw
for
you.
you.
Yeah, it'd be bad. Yeah. If that's like your trigger, like
It's one
it's
of
my family,
yeah.
like it's my kids, it's real it's my neighbors. It's literally everyone's names. Like I was like, hey, I'm gonna
Oh,
put you in a zombie book, and everyone's like, oh, cool, great. I'm like, you're probably gonna die. Like it's nothing personal.
yeah. Sorry.
I only put
Oh my
people I
god.
like in my books. So like
Right.
it's a compliment if I kill you in my book. I don't kill people I
Exactly.
don't like.
No,
So it's
definitely
been
not.
like a
No,
long
it's like a
rule of mine.
badge of honor to kill someone that because to be
Yeah.
in someone's
Oh,
book. I love that. I think it's the coolest thing ever. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh,
I would
and
love
it's
to
like indie
know.
readers love that.
Oh, for sure. And listen, the
Yeah.
indie horror community, bar none,
Yeah.
it's the best
It's
one out
top.
of all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody
They're
else can
so
get
nice.
fucked. Like,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That would
They
probably
read the
be
most
one community that would band
yeah.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. They read the most gruesome shit, and they're the nicest people. Like
Oh, just the
so many
best. Just the
grandmas
best.
contact me. I'm like, I just love it. Like it cracks me up.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Yep.
demographic. Grandmas reading my zombie books.
Reading you
Never would have thought.
on Kindle Unlimited. So let's talk about that. Did you initially do any kind of like printing first, or did you just automatically say I'm going online, Kindle Unlimited. Wow, like what was your process there? Because you're very steeped into KDP Select
Yeah.
right now.
Oh
So
God, yeah.
tell us how you got there.
Uh,
Yeah.
So my process was I didn't know shit when I started, and someone was like, I was like,
I love that
ready a book,
answer.
and they're like, oh yeah, no, I claim complete stupidity. They were like, are you gonna self-publish? And I'm like, what? I was like, what the hell? I was like, where? And they're like, I had no idea. Like, so fun story to show further intelligence. So when I started the Orphans, I thought I had an original idea. I was gonna write a zombie book. I didn't realize I didn't know what a Tufo was, or like O'Brien, or like I could name 100 authors now. Back then, I didn't even do a Google search to see if there were fucking zombie books. I was like, wow, this is really gonna take, put people on their
This is
seat.
it.
And then I realized
Yeah.
there's 1,000 of these books sitting here waiting, and I started finding all these groups and like started participating, started harassing authors, asking questions, and not really harassing, but just, I was like, hey, what is this? I'm like, says it's
Yeah.
published by Amazon. How did you get Amazon to publish you? And it's like, well, no, dummy, that's not it. It's we published it ourselves. And I was like, I can do that. So then once I figured that out, and that was before Kindle Unlimited was even a thing. It used to just be Kindle.
Yeah.
And then the original Kindle Unlimited actually sucked because it was like you got paid after you got 30% of your book read. Well, that is awesome if you're putting out a 10-page book, but I put out a 300-page book. So I had like people were making money, like to be nice, abusing the system a little bit, which, hey, if you can cheat the man, great. But they changed it to where now you get paid every page. Well, that's a lot more fair to a guy with a 300-page book versus the other way.
Right.
And I've been Kindle Unlimited for, I mean, God, 2016, 15, whenever it turned into the new way, that's how long I've been doing it. And it's like, people will laugh, but it's like 0.0042 cents per page. Like I might be making more than Snoop Dogg does on Spotify, but for a page versus a song, but
hey,
it works out,
that all adds up
pretty nice. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, because like you'll get new authors and like they are hating on Kindle Unlimited. I'm like, you don't have enough, either don't have enough books out or you're not getting read, which I understand that sucks, but like it's the difference between like, say like 5,000 pages read a month, or somebody maybe has, I don't know, just spitball 350,000 pages a month. It's night and day,
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Just depends on
I
the
think
kind of meat
when you have,
buy,
right, and if you have like someone that can churn out books as fast as you can, that seems to be the way, because then you can have your readership, you can keep them fed, like, that I think that sounds really good. Would you recommend that for authors that just put out 1 or 2 books a year? Or would you say they should probably stick to like draft to digital type stuff and just go with Kobo and all that?
There's some guys that can do it, and some men and women that can do it, but for the most part, most people I find that try to do it either on their own, through their own website. I only know a couple guys that can do that. And sorry, people, every time I say guys, I mean men and women.
We mean everyone here. Midwest. We're all inclusive on the pod. Yeah. I say y'all. That's my inclusivity, right?
There you go. But I would probably recommend doing it. I mean, if you aren't sure, try it the other way. And if you find that you're making absolutely no money, it's probably not working for you. Go do Kindle Unlimited, and then just keep releasing books. Like you said, like it helps that I can put them out fast. But once I finally learned after, I don't know, 26, 27 books to put them out in order, because I have like the worst ADD where I'm like, like I'm going to write this really great zombie series and like, ooh, vampires. I want to do a vampire book. I'm like, no, I want to do this series. I'm like, ooh, a serial killer. I want to do a serial killer book. It's like, just, stay on the road.
I have that problem.
Don't look at the squirrels. Just keep going. Oh, who doesn't?
I'm so bad about that.
People are always like, do you need an idea? People ask if you need an idea. I'm like, no, I do not need an idea.
Never.
I need less.
Never. Right.
And more time. Less ideas.
Yes. How many hours a day would you say that you dedicate to writing? Are you full time with this, or is this a in the evening thing, or how does that work?
Well, I don't really sleep a lot. So like usually I'll get up at like midnight and work for a couple hours, and then I'll pass out till like 6, and then I'll write for a couple hours after work. It's kind of, and then like maybe after supper I'll write until I realize it's like just 500 Fs because I fell asleep with my finger on the keyboard, and I'm like, okay, if I can't stay awake, I probably need to go take a break. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's like between 3 and 4 hours a day is like typical. I used to be really hardcore, and like I do it on lunches, and and a lot of times I'll do dictation, so that also actually helps. It's like
Oh,
anytime
I
you're
bet.
on the way, yeah, and like I've got it down to a pretty nerdy system that would probably drive anyone driving with me insane. But like I like when you're like anytime you need to start a new person talking or something, I just say like paragraph, and then like where like you're saying like hey, he went this way, comma, and jumped up and down, period, and like someone would be like, just shoot me, get me out of this car. I don't want to ever get back in
I
it.
know, I love that though.
So
I love that because you're going through your process. I do the same thing with songwriting. I don't dictate writing. I
yeah,
have to type that out. But I am a composer
sure,
too. And so with songwriting, I
nice,
will put on my phone, but I'll just open up like a video and I will just sing into my phone, but it won't be words. It'll just be like boom ba-da-dum boom, and I'm like singing the
yeah,
melody and
yeah,
different instruments to myself
yeah,
so that when I play back,
yeah,
I'm like, this is what I need to do. And yeah, I love that.
yeah.
That's
And a
awesome.
lot of people,
That
Michael
is awesome.
Jackson did that, like thousands of hours of tapes of it, like just him humming,
Yeah.
like stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
If it works for
Because when
you,
it pops into
there
your
is no
head,
wrong way to do it. Yeah,
right, and the moment it's there, you're like, you have to grab it or else it's gonna,
yep,
it's gonna be gone, and
yep,
I won't remember that
yep.
later on, or the notes app in my phone is all just a bunch of, like,
Yep.
quotes and titles and phrases,
Oh
and
God, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's an
My,
endless pit
my
for
Gmail
sure.
drafts is a wet mess. It's just yeah, it's like just like that, or it's like different TikTok hashtags that I've got, um, like for when I'm trying
Yes.
to do videos or reels and shit like that. Like I went and looked at them. I went through
Mhm.
like 100 of them today that I had, and I was like, this one has 3.5 billion. Statistically, what are the chances that someone's going to see mine? Got rid of it. Anything
Right,
like
right.
over a million, I was like, it's pointless. So just
Do you feel what do you feel like is your most successful marketing that you do? You mentioned TikTok, you mentioned Reels on Instagram. So, what do you find? How do you get the word out there other than just posting a buck ton of shit on Amazon?
I mean, honestly, it's probably my Facebook ads. I run those. I took a break for like a year from doing ads, but then I watched a video. I can't think of the guy's name, unfortunately, but he was awesome. And he was just like, basically, his idea is instead of like trying to categorize down to who sees your video, you can get it a lot cheaper if you just don't categorize it at all. So, like,
Hmm,
if you're under 35, sorry, you're probably not going to see my ads, but it's like 35 to 65 plus. And then I've got one for the UK and I got one for the USA, and that's it. Male and female both.
hmm.
And then I just that's it. And like people, depends on what your budgets are, but like I maybe spend 10 cents a click. And then if I get, someone that reads a lot, they'll see, oh shit, this guy's, like Zombies on the Block is 14 books. And they'll just buy all 14, or they'll buy the box set of all 14. Same as like the
Yep.
Orphans, it's like 11 books. They're like, oh shit, I get 11 books for $3. And then like I incorporate that like into the reels with the hashtags and shit like that. But
Yeah.
it works. It's like the Orphans one, I've got like, 14 books, 4,000 plus pages, 2,100 5-star reviews. What's the risk? Like,
Right.
like
Right.
you spent more than this on a shitty copy in the last month. I guarantee it.
Exactly. So that make that the reward is way higher for sure. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
It makes me
Oh,
want to write
yeah.
more
Yeah.
series for sure.
You should.
So
Yeah.
what
But
I
it's fun doing standalones too, though. I will say that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I'm
that's
so
just
in
me, though.
especially with the historical part of it, I'm so steeped in that
Yep.
time period that it's like, oh, so good.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what challenges have you faced in your writing experience since all of this started?
Um, honestly, like as dumb as it sounds, like just and this is the best advice I could probably give someone too. Fuck the haters. Don't do anything with haters or like any author that thinks it's a competition. Unfriend them. Get rid of them. It's
That's
like
right.
herpes. It won't do anything good for your life.
That is right.
That's what I
They
think you
are a
authors.
scorn. They are a stain. Yes. Awful.
You
And
know,
and
like,
that's another thing
that's
about the
really
horror community
it, though.
too. Yeah. Like, I mean, I think they suss out some of the asshats really quick and then
Yep.
boot them
Yep.
away, which is nice,
Yeah, I
which
mean,
is good.
there's a, there's always going to be your group of assholes, and that's fine. You just don't have to associate with them, much like
That's right.
life, you know. So that's
Exactly
really it. I
right.
mean, like I've never really had writer's block. I've always had an editor. I've always had good cover artists. Like I really like it's all my problems are first world problems. I don't have a lot to complain about.
Yeah.
My
Your
wife's
covers are
supportive
really
of me
good, by the
doing it,
way.
which is nice. Like,
Yeah.
thanks. I use Bible art quite a bit. It's a company in Ukraine, so I kind of like actually supporting those people. The
Yeah.
like that's where they're out of. It's like
Cool.
I don't know
Very
what it's
cool.
like a yeah. So they did like the orphans, the most recent covers that I have, and like if you look at it, it's like a rib cage pulled apart, and then a scene inside of it. So which is
Yes.
perfect for
Yes.
zombies.
Very
But
cool. Super cool.
they've done a lot of mine lately. So they work.
And they're cohesive. They look really
So
good. I really like them. Yeah. So do you
yeah,
ever make it on the convention circuit? Do you go to cons? Do you go to any events?
I used to, and like it just I couldn't make it work in my head, like because I'd go travel, so it's like it's never in Iowa, so it's like I got to do 2 or 3
Yeah.
nights in a hotel room. Like, well,
Yeah.
you're at $350. Unfortunately, I have to eat the whole time I'm gone too. So then there's a couple $100 more, and like there's
Right.
table fees, and the only thing that made it halfway work for me was one of my friends, Joey, at the time. He would go with me so we could split the room, split the table
Oh, that's
cost,
nice.
and that worked out really nice. And like there's some sweet ones down in Kansas City that I used to go to. I mean, just like huge fucking I can't think of how many people, but whatever my math was for the number of people, if just 1% bought the books, they did. So I was
Well,
like,
damn.
I had more fucking I had a lot of leftover books. So I did a few conventions after that. And like there was sometimes just going to the little ones are the most fun. Like there was one in it's Atumwa, Iowa. Never heard of it, right? It's where they did
No.
Children of the Corn. There's also
Oh,
so there's a haunted hotel there, and that's where they do it. And the guys from Children of the Corn were there, the original Malachi and the other dude, like the little guy
that's cool.
and the redheaded guy from like
Yeah.
movie, and they were both awesome. They did not have to walk around and talk to people. They did, like they stopped, shot the
Oh,
shit. They still said hi to us, like, down in the restaurant. I got a picture with the guy with the redheaded guy. I don't know his name. It's like Courtney something, I think.
I don't know it at all.
But yeah. But anyway, it's a little tiny hotel, and there were so many people showed up just excited because nothing happens in this town. Like, sorry, Atumwa, I'm sure something happens, but
Someone
nothing
is
I hear
listening and
about.
they're gonna go, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, yeah. There's 55 things we do a year, but
Yeah, yeah. With 3
anyway,
stoplights, damn it.
that kind of stuff's pretty fun. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I know nothing but yield signs there, buddy.
Right. I mean, I can't.
But
My
it's
hometown
a,
is Wartburg. Like, I get it. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I think my town I live in. It's like I said, it's about 70,000, but it was only maybe 30 when I moved here when I was 13. So
Oh
I've been
my
here for a
god.
while. So
I think we have more cows
so
than
like,
that. Like
yeah,
that. No, more
yeah,
cows than people.
yeah,
Honestly, yeah. Which
sure.
is fine, and I like it that way. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with it. So,
Yeah,
uh, so
yeah,
I have
yeah. I
to
don't
know.
need a huge population.
Yeah. So, as far as your writing goes, do you see yourself continuing to write in that zombie post-apocalyptic genre forever, or are you gonna go
Uh,
more into? You mentioned serial killers. Are you gonna? What are you thinking
yeah.
about? Where you headed?
Um, I kind of can't ever say. I was gonna take a break and do a series on this book that I just finished, but it took me so long to write it, and it wasn't because it was hard. It wouldn't end, and I didn't want to rush it because like I'd really thought about this book for like probably at least a year, just kind of
Mm,
back burner. I just kept thinking of different ways and different ideas and shit, and at the same time I was finishing Zombies on the Block series, the Orphan series, and Vacation from Hell series, which were all zombies. So when someone's like, "Hey, did you want to do another zombie series?" I'm like, "Shut the fuck up! I do not.
right,
Like, I have
right.
no interest. I have no interest in zombies." So then, as soon as I finished The Taker, I started a new zombie series like a month ago. So
Obviously,
yeah,
obviously. I mean, what
I'll
else would you
probably
do?
always
Like,
do something with them. Yeah, but like I do enjoy jumping out like once in a while. Like I did an action adventure series called the Charlie Ford series, and no horror, just like comedy and action and mystery detective and like just it. I don't know, and it just it's one of those series where like it just made me laugh like all the time. Like the guy was
that's
always
fun.
like, "Oh, I speak Spanish," and then they're like, he doesn't speak Spanish. Don't let him talk for us." And he's like saying that he peed on his cat to put the fire out. And these guys are like, what? Like shit like
No
that. Like just,
bueno.
and then, yeah. Just shit that just makes me laugh. And that was the book. So
That sounds
it's
like
good
fun. I
stuff.
like
But
that.
I do have quite a fan. Hey, great. I don't. Sorry, my daughter just got back from a play audition, so she's super excited.
Oh, I hope she
She's giving me
gets it. That's exciting.
yeah, she's giving me thumbs up from the door. So I was like, "What do you
Oh,
want?" And I remembered she
hopefully
was a
that's good.
thing.
That's good. Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so
Former
she's
theater kid.
pretty.
I'm with that.
Yeah,
Yes.
oh, she's show choir.
Oh, how
She is
fun.
a busy young lady. Yeah, it is. So I
Well,
don't know where
like
she has the
you're
energy for
busy
it.
too. Mm,
Yeah, I was
sounds
going
like
to
she
say
gets
she's
it from
kind of got
somewhere.
workaholic. Yeah,
Yeah.
my wife's a workaholic too. So, poor kid.
Hey, it's a family
But
lifestyle.
yeah,
It's all right.
it is. But yeah, I'll
Okay,
probably
so
always do something with zombies because it's fun.
do you have to do any sort of, or I guess did you start out having to do research on, like, I don't know, geographical shit, and like with the post-apocalyptic, like the whole prepping community, and like weapons for the zombie apocalypse and all of that? Like, do you have to research any of that, or is it something that you were
Not
interested in, you knew about? Like,
Yeah, not so much for the orphans because I'm from Iowa, so we already know everything about shotguns and rifles and pistols and like I'm from that kind of family where like I grew up around it, so like that was pretty easy for me to be able to dive into. And then like I put it in. I used to live in a very small town called Dallas Center. It was probably under 10,000 people, and like even today, I bet. And so about 5 minutes away, there's another town called Adel. So I just set it there. And then,
somewhere familiar. Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. And like, I made up like the factory. Cause everyone's like, is there really a factory? I'm like, no, there's not a factory where they make the zombie virus. I was like, that's fictional. But I was like, pretty much
Yeah.
everything else. Like, I mean, like there's like roads and stuff. Like you could go on like I took a couple people when they came to visit me, like on a little tour over in Adel and like showed them like, they're like, holy shit, this is
This is
like
where that's based off of.
hauntingly
That's
accurate.
fun.
Yeah.
It's because it
So
is.
like we
That's
went
where
to
it's
the
from.
restaurant like we went to the restaurant from Buried with one guy and got a pizza, and it was like they were just like, holy shit, it's
Oh,
actually they're like it's one of my friend John. He came from Germany, drove down from Wisconsin, and then like my friend Leslie, she's my beta reader, Leslie Bryant. You'll see her if you read one of my books. I kill her in almost every
uh-huh.
book,
Oh,
and her
that's
husband
great.
who doesn't ask. Yeah,
Oh,
so
bless.
yeah,
That's fun. I need to try that, doing more of writing actual locations that are not super far
yeah,
away from me. I like to do,
yeah.
like I said, a book in historical Philadelphia. And so then when I was in, present day Philadelphia, I was
Mhm.
going to the locations of where it used to be. And like, I love shit like that, but
Yeah.
maybe I'd be a
Nice.
faster writer if I wrote my homeland, you know?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It doesn't hurt. I did one called Deal with the Devil, and I had to like, I think it was like 1700s or 1800s, and it was set in Romania. That was a pain in the butt, but I had a friend at the time that was from
Yes.
Romania. So I'm like, yeah, I've got 85 questions for you real quick.
Yes.
So
Yes. That's fun. That is fun though. And Romania, I just wrote a short story set in Romania, and what a fun place to write about, and like Transylvania and just
yeah,
that whole all of that vibe. Love it. That's really
yep,
cool. So, how do you
it's
feel
good
like
stuff.
your writing has evolved since your first book to the book that you have coming out tomorrow that we need to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I can't even listen to my old, like, people like, these are great. I'm like, God, if I could rewrite it, but then I thought thinking, I'm like, if you want to rewrite 49 books, just shoot me now. I
Yeah.
can't, not that they all need
Yeah.
rewritten, but like, I just know that there's little quirks in there where I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know. So I think just kind of, I have a better sense of like how to make a story flow, like without having to like detail out every single thing on a page. Like, it's like, it's hard to explain, but it's just, there's a flow to it that you kind of develop over the
Yeah.
time. And if you
Yeah.
don't develop it, you might not be developing much as a writer. Like if, like your first book and your 14th book are like the same, it's like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. And
You gotta
to each their own.
what is it they say? The first book teaches you how to write a book, and then every book after that it becomes, I think, a little bit more. You realize when you need to make the high points and the low points and the,
Yeah.
oh, here's our all is lost
Yep.
moment and whatever. So yeah,
Yep.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay,
Had fun.
so what do you see for horror as a genre? Where do you see it going? Where do you see it heading? Because obviously it's changed a lot since 70s, 80s, 90s.
Yeah, it has. I've been seeing more and more splatterpunk, which isn't necessarily my forte. Just like, and I don't like to write about kids typically, like too much,
Me either. Yeah.
like, or nearly at all. It's like my only taboo, or like kids
That's
or
me
like
too.
women being abused. Like, not a big fan of that, but everything
Oh,
else is on the table. So like, but I could see the splatterpunk, but at the same time, I could also see it hitting a wall to where like it gets to a certain point where people are like, I can't handle any more of this mind fuck. That, like, I mean, like just
yes.
some of the names of the books, I'm like, I am like, nope, not interested in that. It's nothing personal. I'm, write
I love
whatever you want, and I'm sure there's somebody who will read it.
So my
So,
very
but
first
I
experience with
it's,
splatter horror was recent, and it was with Womb by old Duncan Ralston.
yep,
And
Duncan,
I read
yep, I
that
know
shit
Duncan.
yeah, a complete mess. Hello, Duncan.
Yeah,
But I read that book in 1 hour, and I was dying the whole time. I'm like, this is allowed? Like, we can write this? Like, this is crazy. And so
yeah,
then I was
yeah,
headfirst into extreme horror at that point. I was like, give it all to me. I need to read all of it. So I was just shocked
yeah,
that
yeah.
was a thing, because I
I,
was just like, whoa.
I like the extreme horror. I have no problem like with that. Like The Uninvited is extreme horror, but it's not like babies and wombs and stuff like that. It's like
Dead Inside's not
like
your jam.
it's like it's like a 1980s slasher movie on paper, and it
Yeah.
is essentially anyway. And it's like one of the favorite things I ever put out. Like, it was just, I wrote it in a month, and like it was just flowed out of me. It was one of those where you're at the halfway point, and you're like, well, this feels like it's concluding, but there's still half the book left. Like, what the hell is he gonna do? And then they go, oh
Oh my
God,
God.
now he's gonna do this. And it's like it didn't end. And then they go and finish it, and they're like, fuck, there's 3 more books. I need to get the next book. Like, it
Yep.
just gets worse. By the 3rd book, he's flaying people and grilling. It's like weird.
And you say you're not
You know.
a splatterpunk writer.
Yeah. Well, that's what I always said. I was like, back in my day, this might have been called a splatterpunk, but I don't know if people consider it splatterpunk. It's just, I always called it extreme horror and told my mom not to read it. That's
Right,
which is
right.
most of my books. So
Same.
pretty
Well, and my poor
adamant.
little
About
I got a Kindle or a Kindle Fire or something from my sweet little grandma. But I had to, I put my account with everything on there.
So it
And
synced it up.
so I didn't realize that it was syncing up
That's
until one
yep.
day. And she said, Marie, what are these books
Oh,
showing up? And I was like,
I love it.
oh no. Oh dear.
That's
Don't open
awesome.
any of those. Like, don't
Yeah.
read any because it was a nice mixture of like extreme horror, splatterpunk, smut, like all this. And I was like, don't open any of it, grandma. Like not for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was my mom edited The Orphans before I sent it to like a professional editor. And she like, I just remember like it was my favorite text message I've ever got from her. And she's just like, where did I go wrong with you? Like Catholic family, I got 2 sisters. I don't have a single complaint about my childhood or teenage years. Like my parents were fucking awesome. They still are.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, she's like, what is this? Like, what the hell? And I'm just like, it's The Orphans.
It is what it is,
Now
Mom.
I kind of like
Sorry.
tell her, I'm like, yeah. Like I was gonna tell her she could read The Taker, and my editor who does read like the splatterpunk and like she reads the heavy shit. She's like, you scarred me. She's like, I did not see that coming. She's like, it just kept going and it just got worse. She's like, I loved it, but what is wrong with you? Everyone's always like, is your wife okay? Do you have proof of life? I'm like, no, she's great. She's fine.
Oh
like,
my
she's
God,
perfectly
that's amazing.
fine.
You're like, are you
So,
horrified? Then I've done my job. Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
yep, pretty much. Yep.
Perfect.
Nightmares, perfect. Fantastic.
Yes.
Read
I know.
another
I
book.
love writer friends that are like, I want people to get this story. I want them to feel uplifted when they read my books. I'm like, I want them to put mine down and go, what the fuck was that? Like,
Oh,
yeah.
That was like the whole uninvited time when I had that series going. Leslie, I have like 2 or 3 beta readers, and she's been there forever. And just the pictures her husband sends of her like cringing as she's reading it. Like, God, what is wrong with him?
You're like, I'll send you a check for the therapy, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, because everyone's always like, he seems so nice, and then it like this one guy's like, he seems like so nice and such a nice family guy, but it feels like the devil is trying to escape his chest, and it comes out in print. Like, that's the best review I've ever had. Like,
yes, you need that on a shirt, like that. You're like, I'm so nice, but the devil's crawling out of my chest. I've experienced that. I try really hard to at least read one book from guests before they come onto the pod, but sometimes I'm not able to.
Sure.
So like, I haven't read any of your books yet, but I will read one after. Now that I've met you and seen how nice you are, and that's gonna happen to me. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, this is messed up.
It's awesome. Yep.
I love that.
I love
that's
it.
super fun.
So
yeah. Well, and people do the same thing to me.
Sure. Yeah, that's exactly like you seem very sweet, and I'm not fooled for a minute that you couldn't write something very scary.
Like, oh, the worst. Yeah.
Right. It's
right.
It's just your creativity. It doesn't have anything to do with your looks or it has your personality, but like, but
like who
people
we
judge
are
a book
as
by
people. Right.
Sure.
Well, and we're not like, just because we write serial killers doesn't mean we want to kill someone. Just because we write like that, that you have to separate the artist from the art. Yeah, I think so too. I absolutely think so too. So then I do have one more kind of controversial question. And then we'll get into our lightning round. So I want to know, because you do write some things that are dark and the devil coming out of your chest and that sort of thing. Where do you stand on the whole trigger warning debate?
Fuck it. Nope. No. It's a book. You're paying. Sorry, not to be so judgmental, but like you're like, paying to be
okay.
You're paying to be entertained, right?
Yep.
It's like, do you need to know every detail? Like, I don't necessarily give a shit what's in my pasta. I just want it to taste good.
Right.
So I'm going to just go into it with an open mind and I'm going to eat it. Same as just read it. If you don't like it, if it's too scary, stop reading it. Take a
Right.
break. Maybe I'm not the guy for you. But
Not
no,
the
I
author
don't
for you.
think other than I've gotten in trouble quite a few times about a few dogs, but other than that, like
Oh
people
no.
don't, I know. Yeah. People are always like, you killed the dog. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, and like 6 pages before I killed a 7-year-old and you didn't say anything. So you be
Yep.
quiet. So
Yep.
but
I've
dogs,
adopted the new the genre is the trigger warning. I'm kind of like
yeah,
that's kind of
exactly.
where I'm at on it right now. I'm like, if it's horror, like I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah, this
horrify
isn't
you.
Christian
Yeah.
fiction. It's
No. Like,
yeah,
right.
yeah, like yeah. It's supposed
So
to be scary. It's in the right
yeah.
genre. So yeah,
And I'll
no,
tell you
not a big
what.
fan of trigger warning.
Yeah. And I saw something today. Poor Judith Sonnet. A lot of people are getting all stirred up about a mid-book trigger warning that she has. And I'm like, come on, people. Like, it's obviously a gimmick. It's obviously for fun. Like, it's not like
Yeah, right.
it's actually convincing
It's not a
people to stop
biography.
reading the book. And I'm like, people, like, it's horror. It's fun. This is what we're here for, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as
Yeah,
there's
it's
not
your
like,
guilty pleasure. You don't have to tell anyone.
right. And it's not
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
as long as it's not hate speech or some shit like that, like, that's not what we're
Yeah,
talking about
sure.
here. We're talking about the
Like,
gloom and
yeah,
doom and
no.
death and that
Yeah.
kind of thing. So,
Like the
all
gutty and the
right.
dark shit, not the
Yeah,
Nazis.
the
So
gore. Yeah. And I
right.
always say too, I'm just like, take this as an eternal trigger warning for anything that you read of mine. There's like people are gonna die and it's gonna be messy. It's horror.
Yeah.
Like that's just
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Oh,
So yeah.
I can't wait
Okay,
for
are
the
you
first person
ready?
to ask me. Yes,
Lightning
I am.
round. Here we go.
Okay. Try.
Would you rather face a horde of slow moving zombies or fast zombies that all looked like you?
Do I have a gun?
No, you're just as you
I don't
are.
care if they look like I don't care if they look like me at all. I would take them out one after another.
Can you
So
imagine? We
I'll
know
take
their weaknesses.
the slow ones though. Yeah. I mean, I still want slow because it
Yeah,
doesn't make me
yeah.
any quicker.
No,
So
definitely not.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Would you choose to live in a quarantined safe zone without electricity for the rest of your life? Or would you venture out into a wilderness that's filled with mutated creatures?
I don't think I need electricity that bad. I mean, if it's like safe and I can still eat meat, I should be good.
Yeah. Can
I
you start a
I would
fire?
perish if it was like a vegetarian society. I'd be dead or kicked out probably.
A vegan level 5 vegans
Yeah.
only, and you're in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Fuck your
would be
bean
tough.
paste. I went and
Yeah.
said steak.
That's another shirt for you. Fuck your bean paste.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's a
just say I
good
do have
that's
a
a good
shirt that
book
says
title.
an indie author killed me in a book. That's
Oh,
and
that's
I liked it.
fun. That's
Yep.
a lot of fun.
Yep. So
Okay. Would you risk exposure to radioactive fallout to access clean water sources, or would you rely solely on contaminated water for survival?
I probably wouldn't want to do contaminated water, so I'd probably do the first one and just
Go
try to
for
be
the
really
radioactive
clear.
fallout kind.
Yeah, I'd take
Yeah.
like the long way around.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Would you rather fight off hordes of zombified pets or confront a swarm of giant insects?
It kind of depends on the numbers of insects because I just watched Kong this morning and there was a lot of them. So I think I'll take the pets.
Okay.
Because it was pretty
The
fucked up.
zombie dogs and the zombie cats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Take them out. That's fine.
Okay. Here's a fucked up one for you. Would you sacrifice one family member in order to save 3 others from becoming infected as a zombie?
Can I pick who?
Not yourself. But yes, you could. You could
Right.
pick. You could pick who. Yeah.
That's fine. I'll take that.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, I got a lot of cousins. No offense, cousins, but got a lot.
Sorry. I mean, the cousins and the friends. We're coming for everybody
We're-
today on
I'll pick
Moths of the
someone
Flame.
old. I'll pick the oldest person. Yeah.
We're gonna call
Pick the
this the
oldest
Fuck
person.
Everybody podcast. It's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
would you rather
It's nothing
be
personal. They all know me.
it's fine, like whatever. Would you rather be bitten by a
Surprise,
werewolf
right?
or turned into a mindless zombie?
Werewolf. Absolutely.
Werewolf.
I don't want to be a
Yeah,
mindless
'cause then
zombie.
it's only
Werewolf.
the full moon. Yeah. I want to be
Yeah,
like an
yeah.
immortal werewolf.
And like,
Yes.
yeah.
But then, okay, werewolf or
I'm good.
vampire?
You know, I've thought about that before, and I think I'm gonna. I like some of the shit vampires can do, but the whole never feeling anything ever again. I'll keep the werewolf and just be a little
Keeping the
unruly.
werewolf.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
finally get a
gonna go
chance to
for
get to that.
vampire.
Yeah,
Yeah. I would.
there's so
I
many.
just think the
That's a whole
transformation
other
with
show.
the about
Yeah,
all
like
the different varieties
they
of
do
vampires
so
I
much.
know.
Yeah, God,
Yeah.
that would be a fun show. Put me on if you do that.
I
I'm
will.
down.
I'll have to do.
I like
I'll do like a
it.
whole vampire segment because that would be
Yeah,
just have a big
do.
discussion about vampires because there's a lot you can get into with that for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whoa.
Would you rather be cursed with immortality or suffer from a terminal illness amidst a post-apocalyptic world?
I'll take the first one. I don't like being sick. I hate it. I've
Okay.
been sick for 2 weeks,
Immortality.
and I'm not now being sick. I'll live
Yeah.
forever, sure.
Yeah.
You know,
In
don't
the
know. I'll get
zombie land.
sick of it at some point. But yeah, right.
Become king of the
Yeah.
zombies. It'd be fun.
Yep. Could be interesting.
Okay. Wouldn't it though? Yeah, you could be their leader. That's a book for you. There you go. Write that book.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Okay. Would you attempt to rebuild civilization using prehistoric technology, or would you embrace your new era of primitive living?
I'd embrace and probably be a loner outside of not counting like a small group of people. I don't need a large society to try and teach them how to figure out how to live. That's someone else's job, not mine. And then
You're
they're
kind of sounding like a
too,
little
so,
like Utopia these days. That won't like out alone, leave me alone, like grow my
You
own
know,
food and be
I've-
fine.
I worked at home for so long, I can handle a minimal amount of people being around me. It's just fine. So
And I say that, but the moment I'm left alone for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm bored already. Like not bored because always there's shit to do, but you know what I mean? Like I do crave human
Sure.
interaction. And so I think I would be one of those that would go crazy. Okay, final answer. Final question, final answer for our lightning round Moths to the Flame podcast. What is your new favorite podcast?
off to flame.
Moths to the Flame. Yeah. I was like, did he forget the name?
I forgot the I'm sorry. Damn it. I even wrote it
That's
down earlier because I
okay.
was like, it's like the thing you always forget.
Always, yeah.
I was
That's
doing
so
so
funny.
good to the
No,
last question and I fucked it up.
That's okay. That's right. And it's live, so I can't cut it out. Sorry, but I can cut it out in post editing if I need to. So,
Yeah, I do like the name though.
yeah. Well, thank you. All right. Well, thank you so
Just like
much
the
for
episode.
coming on the
Yeah, thank
pod.
you.
Where can our listeners, watchers, where can they find your work? I know, obviously on Amazon
And
for sure. Do you have a website?
I mean, no, I had one because people told me to have one, and then I realized I don't need one. So you can go to Amazon.com and just type in Mike Evans horror author, and I will be number one on the list for you to click on. You can find me on Facebook too. I do very minimal stuff on TikTok. I'm really bad at it. My daughter actually runs it half the time for me. Just
That's
'cause
awesome.
I don't understand it. Yeah, she's 15 and gets more clicks than I do when she posts stuff.
She
so
knows.
I know
Yeah,
I know my strengths and weaknesses, and it's not TikTok. So
Writing is your strength. Yeah.
yeah, well, I try, but mostly Facebook. You can find me on there, and Yeah. So this was
Okay,
fun, though. I
awesome.
appreciate you having me on.
Good. Yes, you'll have to. Well, I'll definitely bring you back. We're gonna have to have a vampire episode. That would be super fun. So I'll
Yeah.
bring you, and then
Yeah.
I've got a couple of friends that have written some vampire books. I think that would be a really fun episode. So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for coming on the
It'd be a
pod.
good
All
one.
right, everybody else, we're gonna fly to the flame. Bye bye.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, that is the end of our very first live Moths to the Flame episode. And don't forget that next Tuesday at 6 p.m., we will be back here again with another indie horror author, because that is what we do here on Moths to the Flame. We've got to find out everything there is to know about indie horror. So make sure check out Mike Evans on Amazon. Go buy all of his books. We got to read about these zombies. We got to read about these super scary zombies. And I will see you guys next week. Love you, my darklings.